like he has done this morning. Mr. Speaker, I had earlier requested to speak, but you didn't grant me an opportunity. And serving in a position of responsibility or leadership in the House comes with its cost sometimes, part of which includes not picketing at the Speaker when they don't grant you an opportunity. And therefore, I missed out on an opportunity to ask the CS, because we were talking about bloggers and people who've been hurt. At the time of his coming to office, there was a very serious case of 2 Indian nationals who used to work in the communications team of President William Ruto, who were brutally murdered, just like...
So, Majority Leader, let me use my limited powers given to me under Standing Order number 1 to allow you to ask that question, and then you can pick one for this particular question.
Another privilege of being leader of majority. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, if the minister finds it well within his means to give perhaps a response to this, if not, he can file a response later to the House, Mr. Speaker, is a matter of these 2 bloggers of Indian descent that worked in the presidential communications team of then candidate, but now President William Ruto, who were abducted and murdered. I know there had been investigations, but up to date, I have never heard if anyone has been taken to court on that particular matter. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it will be important for the minister to brief the House, because this is something that caused great agony to the young families of these 2 gentlemen that worked with us in the communication team. On this particular issue of Sondu, Mr. Speaker, I want to first appreciate the minister for the steps that he took at the height of that very difficult time and intervened during that season when there were clashes in Sondu. I just wish to request him, Mr. Speaker, if he can confirm to this House whether there are plans to make that GSU camp that he has referred to be in existence on a permanent basis, given that this is an area of high potential threat every time there are either political disagreements or otherwise, Mr. Speaker, because if we can have that GSU camp in permanently there, then it will deter people, Mr. Speaker, who are known to commit either acts of violence or other even acts of theft, because apart from clashes, Mr. Speaker, that are of a political nature, within the same vicinity, there are challenges also of cattle rustling, Mr. Speaker, on the boundaries of Kericho and Kisumu, and therefore it will serve us well in providing calm and peace in that region if this GSU camp can be permanently located in that particular location. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is to request the Cabinet Secretary to now go the full hog. Apart from restoring calm militarily, like has been done by use of police, there's need to pacify the area by engaging elders and local leaders, which is a promise he had made to us when he visited that particular time, because one of the issues I know for a fact that continues to cause problems is a market that was built by the county government of Kericho. But up to date, they are not able to either allocate traders to use that particular market or collect cess from that particular market, yet these are resources that they use. And therefore, the people on the Kericho side continue to feel hard done that they invested, that the county government put up a market, which unfortunately they are not able to collect rates from, which is something that causes animosity. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the minister if there are plans to now move this conversation on peace beyond just police intervention and get it to the level of community integration now, so that you have either elders together with leaders so that we can commit. I am aware that at least at the county government level, something is being done between, I think, the governor of Kericho and the governor of Kisumu. I saw a press release last week, but we still feel there is need for a deeper understanding and a well-organized interaction between the 2 communities so that we can bury this challenge for once and for all. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for indulging me.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the majority leader has raised 2 issues in one, and I think he has used the privilege of office to get away and receive the kind of orders and directives he has received under Standing Order 1. I would like to respond as follows. First is the issue of whether or not we have made headway with regard to the Indian nationals who disappeared and are believed to have been murdered just before elections. We have made some progress, but because this is a legal process matter, I request if that question could be conveyed to us in writing so that we get accurate information which is up to date. But from where I sit, I know some progress has been made. We may not have nailed the suspects, but we'll be more than happy to provide the status update if a request is made in writing from the Senate, Majority Leader. On the second issue, Right Honorable Speaker, sir, at the time when I visited Sondo at the height of the episode in June, July last year, it is true the political leaders from both Kericho and Kisumu had requested to meet with us. We were not very keen at that time, which is one of the occupational hazards I suffer these days. That even my very best friends, sometimes I am forced to avoid them at least for a while, especially where, for example, an active security matter is pointing to the direction of either their friends, supporters, etc. And so I avoided my good friend, the Majority Leader, whom I believe is doing a great job in profiling the position of the leadership of the Senate in this House. And I'm sure he will do much better than us who are trying to figure out what this office was all about at the beginning. However, Honorable Speaker, so we avoided political engagement with political actors at that time because evidence was leading us to stay neutral. But I am happy to report to you, Majority Leader, through the Speaker, that we are in a good place now, and I want now to honor the promise that I did. And I will take the initiative to bring the teams together from your Kericho side and Kisumu side. Mr. Speaker, the House may want to know the Sondu matter is not as complicated as some of the other issues we are handling. These are brothers and sisters and neighbors who understand each other. So with regard to the question of meeting political leaders for permanent solution, we should be beginning that as soon as possible. And finally, Honorable Speaker, the request or the suggestion from the Leader of Majority about the GSU camp, he had already approached me informally outside the House, and even my senior senator for Kisumu had also requested the same as a sign of ensuring that there is stability in the area. We will make that camp at Sondu permanent and will increase its strength because we realized that's a matter where presence of law enforcement can 99% resolve the matter.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In relation to the same matter, Mr. Speaker, I remember one time it was on this floor, and at that moment it was a blame of a stolen motorbike. Then it has graduated to other factors. I would like to ask the CS, while looking for a permanent solution, have you dealt with the issue of boundaries? Because, Mr. Speaker, we just did a law here which has gone to the National Assembly. What is it going to do in terms of the boundaries of the counties that have been a dispute, and it be one of the factors, there being a market build which by one county, but they cannot collect, any sales or anything out of it, out of a dispute, meaning there is still a dispute up to now. What are you doing about disputed boundaries which cause a similar problem and is likely to cause similar problem in other parts of the country, like in the case of Makueni and Taita Taveta. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. It is true, about 27 counties in Kenya are having border-related issues, a county and the other. And this is not a matter that has started today. It's a matter that has been there for decades, many decades, as long as Kenya has been established in the manner in which it has been established. It is also true that border issues of neighboring communities is a world over phenomenon. It's not new to Kenya. Our worry, though, as security managers, is the increasing approach of politicization, ethnicization, and criminalization of border-related disputes. That is where we have an issue. The politicization, ethnicization, and criminalization of border disputes, where influencers, whether political influencers or other influencers, want to take advantage of the differing opinion on where beacons and borderlines lay among neighbors to bring in crime, to bring in politics, and to divide the people of Kenya. We have made it clear in the national security sector that we are not going to allow criminals and characters who want to bring violence, crime, negative ethnicity, and destructive politics in a very honest discussion among neighbors as to where borderlines lie. And one may ask, Mr. Speaker, then if politics, ethnicity, and the rest are removed from borders, then why should we have borders? Borders are still relevant for commercial reasons. For example, the majority leader, who is the senator for Kericho, and the senator for Kisumu, that discussion they're having around Sondu has some revenue, commercial-related matters. The same with the distinguished senator for Makueni and their neighbors in Taita Taveta. So we have no problem neighbors canvassing boundary disputes so that they can deal with commercial and other issues that are innocent. What we will not allow: violence, incitement, negative and destructive ethnicity. And therefore, going forward, we have said all these, because I was asked what plans we have, all these 27 almost counties where there is that discussion among neighboring communities, we are going to facilitate, as security managers, facilitate communities to discuss and resolve that issue. Minus crime. And the first thing we are demanding is that there should be no crime, incitement, or ethnic, the perpetuation of ethnic anger as a way of canvassing border disputes. As soon as any counties that are affected remove crime and negative politics and ethnic profiling and incitement from the discussions, will move in, and I'm sure we will find a lasting solution so that the commercial and other issues that are relevant continue unhindered, including what the Senator for Kericho has said. A market like that should be used to help generate the wealth of the people of Kenya, whether they're in the Kericho side or in the Kisumu side. They are the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate Deputy Speaker Emeritus for the wonderful job he's doing. I think he's the best CS and he knows what he's doing, unlike others. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you need to protect me, Mr. Speaker. I don't know why the House is excited. But let me move quickly to my supplementary question.
You'll be protected as long as you start protecting yourself.
But
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we are also secure because the Interior Minister is here. Quick one, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to do follow-up on the issue of also Kisumu and Nandi and Kakamega and Nandi. We have had issues in the past. What is, because, Mr. Speaker, what triggers these ethnic and border clashes sometimes is something that is beyond the hardware of the security sector. It could involve the issue of land historical injustice, among others. What is the CS doing to work closely with other agencies like National Land Commission, National Cohesion and Integration Commission, among other agencies, Mr. Speaker, to ensure these issues that trigger border clashes along the borders across the country are permanently resolved so that it doesn't need to go with the hardware or software of the securing the sector, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Honorable Sears.
Mr. Speaker, I'm discovering former many things because sometimes former Deputy Speaker, former Senate Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by the distinguished Senator for Nandi is true. What we've been doing in the past and which we are now correcting is that we've been addressing border disputes in a piecemeal and a silo way. For example, as we are aware, the IEBC, for example, has a role in constituency and ward boundaries. As we are aware also, the Constitution of Kenya provides in Article 188 that boundaries between counties will be determined by a boundaries commission, which in my interpretation is not the IBC. I know at least one case which I brought earlier on in my earlier life as a legal practitioner, challenging that issue. And it was around electoral disputes, 2 counties involved. And the court did say that the IBC deals only with electoral and ward boundaries. But inter-county boundaries is the role of the commission envisaged in Article 188, which is not the IEBC. And I know Senator Emeritus Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Makueni did bring a bill at some point to have this commission established. I don't know how that matter has progressed. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, going forward, we want to make sure that we deal with boundary disputes comprehensively. And since boundaries are emotive, they can lead to a breach of public order, we have determined through our teams, the county security teams across the country, and us in Nairobi, we are going to address each of the cases involved in a multi-agency manner, security-led because of the sensitivity issues, but also bringing on board all other actors, the National Land Commission, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, and other actors including IBC, but led by our security formations and security management to ensure that we comprehensively deal with those issues. Let me submit as follows as I finish on this matter, Mr. Speaker. If we removed incitement to violence and unnecessarily ethnicizing and politicizing these issues, we will resolve all the 28 inter-county boundaries in this country in a very short period of time. So we will be moving in that direction, and I could be able perhaps to be put to task after 3 months to brief the House and the country where we have started on that program. I submit.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to raise an intervention along the line of operations where there is conflict. It could be a policy issue or it could be a training issue. Mr. Speaker, I totally agree with operations that are carried in our pastoral areas because it's a matter of concern. But my worry is the manner in which those operations are carried out. For example, 2 weeks ago, there was operation in Isiolo County, in Garmara area and Kulamawe area. Mr. Speaker, those security agencies are destroying properties, especially semi-permanent houses. Women are beaten up, kids are beaten up. And I think, Mr. Speaker, I would request the CS, if there is any way that we can deal with those issues, because those security agencies, they are even taking away animals of innocent people, Mr. Speaker. So CS
to allow the Honorable CS to respond to 3 questions. And therefore, we'll terminate interventions on question number 001 there and proceed to question number 002 by the Honorable Senator for Tharaka Nithi, Senator Mwenda Gataya Mofire. You may proceed to ask your question.
I would also request to know from the CIS Interior what specific measures has the ministry also undertaken to fast-track the establishment of offices for all government institutions, including the National Treasury Office within the sub-county. Chakariga. C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status update on the construction of a division police headquarters as well as required police stations in the sub-county? D, what other specific measures has the government taken to enhance access to national government services by residents of the said sub-county, which is Chakariga? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead, Mr. CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. In response to the question and statement sought by the Senator for Tharaka Nithi County, I state as follows. Chakariga sub-county was established and carved out from Tharaka South sub-county in 2022. It was gazetted in 2022, and a deputy county commissioner was posted at that time to take charge of the sub-county. The sub-county at the moment is functional and operational, but there are some staff who are yet to be posted, and we are working with other ministries who have not posted their, who have not deployed staff to do so in the soonest time possible. And therefore, one of the things that I want to inform the House also at this juncture is that there is need for us to improve the infrastructure so that we can host the pending officers, public officers who are yet to be posted, who are yet to be deployed. We have not had adequate funds, but we have made arrangements in the 2023-2024 financial year to avail funds to expand the infrastructure offices of the sub-county so that the pending officers who have not been posted or deployed are deployed. Honorable Speaker, sir, at the moment, other than the Deputy County Commissioner, the TSC have already posted an officer, so from Nairobi. We in the Ministry of Interior have also posted recently a national registration or the registrar of persons for the sub-county. Also, other members of the sub-county security committee, including the sub-county police commander, the intelligence head, as well as the DCI head, have also been posted. So the sub-county is operational, but there are departments of the national government that are yet to post. We are working with them to deploy, but also on our part as the Ministry of Interior, we have factored in the 2023-2024 budget monies to build or enlarge the infrastructure to provide office space, even as we do so for about 16 other sub-county headquarters that are in a similar situation as Chiakariga at the moment. So service delivery is ongoing. Where certain state departments are yet to post or deploy officers, the officers from the mother sub-county, which is Tharaka South, continue to serve the new sub-county. And that is the case all over the country. The new sub-counties have a gradual separation with their mother sub-counties, and we will do whatever it takes to expedite that process. Before I sit down, Right Honorable Speaker, it is good manners as a public officer to declare that this question is about a sub-county from a county where I come from. And it is good manners to say so. But because I have an obligation before the House, that is the position on this matter.
Thank you, CS. Senator Mofai, do you have a supplementary question?
Honorable Speaker, I only want to agree with the CS Interior that what he has stated is true. We have seen some senior officers being transferred to Chakariga. We have the TSC, we have the National Registration Officer who is doing very well. And we trust that what he has just said is going to be realized in the next budget, and the Chakariga is going to be operational. I sincerely thank him for that response.
I will allow supplementary questions related to the original question. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Cabinet Secretary, for that answer. My supplementary question is...
What is your point of order, Senator Kisang? Proceed.
My supplementary question is in relation to the new sub-counties which have recently been gazetted by the Cabinet Secretary. Maybe the Cabinet Secretary can tell the House the status of those new sub-counties. When are you posting the deputy county commissioners, and have you made arrangements for their settlement and inauguration of those sub-counties? The case in point is Hamisi sub-county in Vihiga County, which you recently gazetted. So maybe you can tell us about that.
Mr. CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. All the sub-counties that were gazetted in March, actually in February, 14th of February, will be operationalized in the coming financial year 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, we encourage senators to liaise with the members of the National Assembly from their counties to prioritize from the CDF the building of infrastructure for DCCs because that expedites the operationalization process. We have some money, but it's not enough to serve all the needs that we have because of the fiscal space of the country and of the budget. Where members of the National Assembly have invested and contributed to what already we have to complete the infrastructure projects for offices and residencies for our DCCs. We'll be more than happy to operationalize that even as we look for money for the offices of the other sub-counties. I want to assure this distinguished senator for Vihiga County that Hamisi sub-county will be operationalized, and we will deploy the deputy county commissioner and all departmental heads at the sub-county level within the financial year starting 1st of July 2024.
Thank you. Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, actually my question was similar to what Osotsi was asking, because we have a new sub-county called Keria Valley sub-county, and because of the security situation along Keria Valley, we expect that the CS to have by now sent that Deputy County Commissioner, the MP Marakwet East, Honorable Kankoko Bowen, put up Assistant County Commissioner's office near Chesongoj center or town, and we had proposed that the DCC could start from there, as it gives priority to allocate more resources from July to do a proper Deputy County Commissioner's office, Honorable Speaker. And secondly, Honorable Speaker, in the same line, maybe the CS needs to tell us when is he going to operationalize the other units, especially locations and sub-locations that were cassetted 2017 by the late CS Ngaizeri before the elections of 2017. And the last one, Honorable Speaker, is we had requested, it was only two,
Senator Kisang, you're only allowed one supplementary question.
Oh, then that's okay. Then finally, just to congratulate the CS, he's doing a very good job. Thank you very much, Waziri. I know also how you assisted me to be elected as a senator. You've done a good job.
CS, you can answer the question.
I hope that doesn't conflict. Honorable Speaker, sir, with regard to the supplementary question or statement of the distinguished senator for Elgeyo Marakwet County, I want to confirm that because of the security situation in North Rift and particularly Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo County, the two sub-counties that are critical to the securing that area, namely Kerio Valley sub-county and Koloa sub-county in Tiati in Baringo County, will be operationalized within the next 30 days.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe this is not going to be another ambush to the CS. But my question is in relation to a matter that the CS knows very well, the matter of the Tharaka-Tagishu sub-county. I say he knows it very well because, Mr. Speaker, the CS was part and parcel of the push to get that sub-county, and it has been operationalized. It has been given a sub-county code. But, Mr. Speaker, the people of Tharaka-Tagishu continue to suffer as though they don't have a sub-county. I say this because in the last recruitment for KDF, they were denied an opportunity to carry out their own recruitment in their own sub-county, even after they have been issued with a sub-county code. And they were forced to move to Mumoni Ward to compete for positions in Mumoni Ward. We tried to raise this matter with the authorities. We were not successful. I am happy, and the people of Tharaka are lucky, that the person who actually pushed the creation of that sub-county is here to respond to that question and give them the assurance that in the coming recruitments, then the people of Tharaka-Tagishu will exercise the right of recruitment on account of their own sub-county code. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. CS.
CS, my good neighbor at home, Senator Wambua, is correct. This time he hasn't ambushed me. The only small clarification I want to make again as part of clarifying for ethical reasons, You know, he has said I was part of the people who pushed for this sub-county, and he has forgotten to clarify I did so before I became a cabinet secretary, when I was a politician in active politics. I say so because, again, generally, that's where I come from. And I know, of course, it was a deserving case. And we and Senator Wambua were very critical as senators from the two counties, trying to make sure that that area is given an additional sub-county. And I must thank Senator Wambua for the support he gave towards that process as well. At the moment, I'm not allowed to push for anything. I'm allowed to serve Kenya and push Kenya forward as a whole. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is true, just like many sub-counties which have been established, it takes time before all the agencies and departments realize and actualize the need for the autonomy of each sub-county and grant them the fair allocation of their resources, including recruitment, into the public service. And therefore, it's unfortunate that the incident happened. I want to request the Senator for Kitui County and any other senator who are similarly situated in their counties, let us know when there is any agency that is recruiting, you know, and you feel that there is a sub-county which is actually already established and has been given a code and is operational and has not been factored. Because some of the people who prepare those advertisements, some of those public officers, may not be up to date with the recent developments in terms of the creation of new units. Sometimes it's not their fault. And please, let's work together and make sure that we don't have a repeat of that. And I want to assure the Senator for Kitui County, the people of Kitui, and particularly the sub-county of Tharaka Tagishu, that all recruitment for all agencies and ministries and departments or in the public service will factor in this sub-county because it is operational and it's an autonomous sub-county which should be treated as such. The President did visit that sub-county sometimes last year, I think 13th of July or thereabouts, last year, 2023. And there is a presidential directive which we are implementing again, we hope we'll implement in the 2023-2024 budget, where we are directed to provide, again, construct the sub-county offices and a resident for the DCC and provide a vehicle for the DCC and other members of the sub-county security committee. I submit.
Thank you, Senator Alexander Mundingi.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Swali langu ni kwa ujumla. Sijui kama utaniruhusu imbaye upande ya security niweze kuuliza, lakini upande ya security, Bwana Spika.
Senator Mundingi, swali lazima ihusiane na ile swali ambayo ilikuwa imeulizwa na Senator Mofaya. Pengine tutakupatia nafasi tukimaliza kuuliza maswali zote. Si saa hizi.
Meru, ungeniruhusu tu dakika moja niweze kuuliza swali langu, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, wakati huu juu ya ulinzi, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inafanya kazi mzuri na pia Bwana Profesa unafanya kazi mzuri, lakini wakati huu mvua inanyesha sana, tungetaka amani, na tumeona viongozi wengi ambaye wale wanaenda kusaidia watu kule vijijini, wengine kama wale walienda Mkuru kwa Jenga na wengine kwa Ruven, wakisema watu wasitoke pahali wamejenga kwa mto, na tunajua wakijenga hapo watashukuru maji. Na kwa sababu ya kuangalia maslahi ya hao watu na kuuliza, kwa sababu ni mchapakazi, kutoka siku hiyo mpaka leo umesukua jukumu gani ya watu kama hao walichosea watu wasiame, ndio tujue aidha wawekwe ndani au mpelekwe kotini, ndio kitu kama hiyo isikuje kutokea tena. Na tunajua hata walitamka matamuzi mabaya wa kusema wengine watu wanalala. Umechukua hatua gani ama kama unaanza saa hii utakuwa umemaliza wakati gani ndio hao watu wawekwe ndani ndio tuwe na amani katika serikali ya Kenya Kwanza. Asante Bwana Spika.
Waziri, kama ungependa kujibu unaweza jibu. Kama unaona si swali ambayo inahusiana na...
It's an ambush, Mr. Speaker, but you know now I am subject to the authority of your directive. Generally, let me submit as follows in response to the matter raised by the distinguished senator for Embu County. We want to encourage the people of Kenya to see the ongoing environmental crisis for what it is and nothing else. Just like all other matters, it's a national crisis. Kenya is paying a huge price for the environmental crisis that we have nothing to do with. It is the pollution and the degradation of the environment, mainly by the big polluters of the world, that is responsible for the devastation we are doing. And today, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, our country, in our order of national security priorities, the effects of climate change is assuming a very, very crucial and important ranking in those priorities. The people we have lost in the last 1 month in this country are almost 80% of all the people we have lost to terrorism in the last 10 years. That is how serious the climate crisis is. And the rains are not over yet. And therefore, directly to what the Senator for Embu has said, we want to ask leaders, influencers, politicians, and all other people in positions of authority and influence to desist politicizing or even inciting the public, especially when security alerts and security orders have been issued. They are for the public safety. They are not for politics. They are not for other things. And we hope that this is the last time we are going to have people, our people being carried away by raging waters when they are sleeping at home. We have issued directives on recovery of all riparian rivers and other fragile ecosystems. Those are security directives. They are not requests. And any leader who tries to interfere with security operations, we will deal with them the same way we deal with other leaders who threaten our national security. As I have already said, this matter is costing us so much pain, so much death. It's now equivalent to what terrorism, banditry, and other serious crimes are doing to Kenya. The orders that are issued for public safety are mandatory. They are not political. They are not sectarian. They cannot be trivialized by leaders going to inside communities and telling them, stay here until I don't know what happens. Because in the process, you'll endanger the life of a family who will be carried away by the raging floods, and you'll be nowhere to answer when those families are crying. And therefore, I take you, and very soon, in the course of the day, the government will be announcing how we should respond for a long-term basis to confront the climate crisis before it destroys our country. We are already 20% of the GDP, and the resources we have produced have already expenditure to try and mitigate loss of life and property. I submit.
Thank you.
Secretary, to tell this House the criteria used by government to create sub-counties and what is the optimal number of sub-counties the country should have. Thank you.
Mr. CS.
That's a good question, like all the others, Right Honorable Speaker. It is important for the country to know through this House that the creation of administrative units is not a whimsical or discretionary activity. It is an activity that is guided by certain parameters. Some of them are constitutional obligations to ensure the people of Kenya access public services as close as possible to where they live. And therefore, one of the parameters that are important first is that the request, we make sure that the request must come from the communities. Number two, we expect that that request must be subjected to public participation as required by our Constitution. Any request that doesn't have the support of adequate public participation at the local level, we do not even consider it. We return it back to where it has come from. Number three, of course, we look at other factors, including how easy is it for the affected people to be able to access critical services. And therefore, there are dynamics, there are parameters, and there are objective set of criteria that we use. It is not a whimsical, political, or temperamental activity where we wake up and say, we are creating this unit, we are not creating this unit. And I know on my table, I have on my table a number of deserving cases from very many parts of the country, including, I can see my brother here, the senator for Marsabit County, who is waiting for Eriret sub-county, and my officers here, you can see already they are aware. We have to create it because that is one of the most needed parts of this country where access to government services is extremely difficult. And Eriret, for your information, is 998 kilometers from where we are seated today.
Senator Andrew Mtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask our Cabinet Secretary for Interior a related question regarding Teso Central. The people of Teso are very grateful when Teso Central was created and headquartered at Amkura. But upon the division of subdivision of Teso South into two sub-counties, all the assets that were at Amkura were moved to the new offices of Teso South, and Teso Central was left without any facilities that would enable them to operate. Even the police don't have a patrol vehicle, they don't have, there's no stationery in the offices. Even the DC has nothing. The offices are just bare. So I don't know, Honorable CS, what plans do you have to make sure that Teso Central in Amkura, which the people of Busia are very grateful when you create the Ministry of Interior created, becomes fully functional? Because right now, people are not getting the services they deserve. That's my question, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, sir.
Mr. CS.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. It is true what the distinguished senator for Busia County has said. Teso, the Teso area generally is one of the areas where additional administrative units have been already provided and will continue to provide more for the reasons which I stated earlier. It is also true that the creation of Teso Central created an asymmetry in terms of infrastructure between Teso South and now Teso Central. We are constrained for budget, but I also want also to inform the distinguished senator for Busia that we are also instructed and in a presidential directive to make sure we reallocate the available finances in our budget in the 2023-2024 financial year to get resources to provide infrastructure so that all the sub-counties have symmetrical infrastructural facilities. And even at lower level, We have operationalized, I think, 2 or 3 divisions. I've been in Teso myself once. I'm going back there next month because we have outstanding work at the divisional level. So I want to ask the distinguished Senator of Busia County to be a little patient, and perhaps in the new financial year, we see how we can work together, and hopefully the CDF, which is relevant there, could support us. But either way, we have to create the infrastructural symmetry that is required to make sure that the Teso South Sub-County, Teso North Sub-County, and Teso Central Sub-County have adequate infrastructure to serve the local communities to be able to access government services as is envisaged under our Constitution. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Senator Karongo Thango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to the CS, whom before we started running for this seat, we used to look up to him. You know, we were learning from him, and even now, when he is now in that position, he's still our role model. Mr. Speaker, I'm going direct to the question. We all agree as a Senate that police need to be facilitated to execute their mandate. In line with that, out of 15 police divisions in Kiambu County, 5 do not have police vehicles. That is Githungorio CPD, Githurayo CPD, Kiambao CPD, Roiro CPD, and Deya OCPD. They do not have police vehicles. Out of 59 police stations in Kiambu County, 35 do not have police vehicles. My question is to the good CS, when are you likely to facilitate these police officers, and especially at this time when we are fighting floods and insecurity in some areas in Kiambu County? Thank you.
Mr. CS.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. I think this request or the ask from the distinguished senator for Kiambu County is legitimate. At the moment, Right Honorable Speaker, out of the 1,300 police stations we have in Kenya, about 700 do not have vehicles. That is nearly, actually more than half of the police stations of our country. A number of police divisions are also they do not have facilities. And for the last 1 year, we have been engaged as a ministry with the National Treasury so that we can renew and expand the leasing program, which had provided us with space to be able to equip and provide vehicles for our law enforcement officials. Because of the fiscal situation that the country has been going through in the last 2 years, we've been negotiating with Treasury because our demand for police, Ngao, and all the players, including DCI, was actually we were asking for 4,000 vehicles through the leasing program. But we've been brought to reality that the economy cannot carry that request. And I think last month, we are almost, the last 1 month, 2 weeks, we are almost agreeing for an allocation of 1,600 vehicles for all our agencies in the Interior Ministry, which we shall allocate to the various agencies prudently and on a need basis, giving priority to the police because they are on the front line of law enforcement and making sure that we have public safety. And therefore, I want to assure the distinguished senator for Kiambu County, who almost got me worried when he said they used to look up to us. And then I almost asked what happened. And then he acquitted himself by saying that we still do. And I still, remain available to support a brilliant young leadership that I see in both houses of parliament. And as I said this, and it's a sincere statement, I think the Senate is, as it should, doing even better than the previous houses, and that's what it should. I have always told the leader of the majority that he's likely consequentially to be the greatest majority leader until he is dethroned by another majority leader who will succeed him later. So he has the title now as the greatest majority leader of the Senate. Having said so, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to assure the Senator for Kiambu we should remain in touch so that when we finalize the contracting of the new leasing equipment, we will give priority to the needs of Kiambu. We may not give you everything, but definitely we will give you more equipment, more vehicles for Kiambu, as we also give to the rest of the country.
Thank you, CS, and it's good to know that you've elevated the majority leader to a goat. Yeah. Senator Joseph Kithuku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity and congratulate Waziri for the good job that he is doing. Honorable Speaker, Lamu has been in the limelight for a very long time for the obvious bad reasons. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I want to congratulate the Honorable Waziri because of the good job that he has done to Lamu. Lamu is now a very peaceful county, and Waziri, you have done a very good job. And since 2014, Waziri, we have had a lot of security problems, but as at now, Waziri, things are doing very well. Now, I wanted to ask Waziri two questions.
Senator of Lamu, you can only ask one question.
That is okay. I stand guided, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have a sub-county in Lamu that was gazetted a while ago. That is Lamu West sub-county that is supposed to be constructed at Mpeketoni, being its headquarter, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to know from Waziri, what is the government preparing, or what is the government intending to do to see to it that that sub-county headquarter is constructed. Finally, in relation to that, Honorable Speaker, there are some police stations that were constructed by the current MP through the national government, NCDF, but it is still understaffed. There is no staff as we speak. So what is the minister planning to do to see to it that those police stations are staffed? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I see a lot of interest in this question, and I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time to take the other two questions that are remaining. So I would want to ask senators to be very brief, and probably we'll take 3 questions so that the CS can answer 3 questions at the same time, so that we can proceed much faster. Senator Steve Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have one supplementary question to the Cabinet Secretary, and my question is, can the Cabinet Secretary update the House on the timelines for gazetting the next batch of the new administrative units that have met the threshold for upgrade, particularly those that are facing security challenges? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Oburu Oginga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Waziri is in very familiar territory, having been the Deputy Speaker here. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to ask him about Bondo Sub-County, where there was a gazettement of Usigu division as a sub-county.
and it has not been operationalized. Can we know when it will be operationalized, Mr. Speaker, sir? And I don't know, Mr. Speaker, just allow me to mention something on security. Mr. Speaker, there's a market in Bondo constituency called Ndera, which is just opposite Raila Odinga's home. And there is a lot of insecurity, Mr. Speaker. The people are being beaten there, the shops, there are some boys marauding, denying people of their telephones, and people are crying, Mr. Speaker, because and reports are made to police, and there's a woman who even caught some people on camera, and those people were in police uniforms, Mr. Speaker, and there is nothing which is no action is being taken at all. The market is called Ndera Market, Mr. Speaker. I hope the minister, maybe if he doesn't know anything about it, he could investigate and let us know. But if he knows anything about it, can we know the situation of security there? Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bwana CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you with regard to the statement raised by the distinguished senator for Lamu County. Just as he has thanked us, me and my colleagues in the ministry, we are also very grateful to the political leadership of Lamu County. We had started with a little bit of turbulence, and we had a very unpleasant engagement at the beginning with the political leaders of Lamu County, the governor of Lamu County, the senator of Lamu County, the woman representative, and the MPs of Lamu County. We had a very turbulent, unpleasant encounter, which, as I said earlier on, Mr. Speaker, comes with this territory. National security it's like that. National security and politics are not 100% symmetrical. There are rough patches along the way. And I can see others here, some of them looking at me, whom we have had some moments. And later on, those moments have gone, and we have the good moments. So I am very grateful to the political leaders of Lamu County. And the current normalcy that we continue to engage, although we are still on high alert, much of it has been contributed by the maturity, sobriety, and the leadership of Lamu County. We're very grateful. Many of our problems, national security problems, are caused by us. We sometimes take advantage of insecurity. We rope in politics, we rope in religion, we rope in other things, and we complicate a problem which would have been resolved easily. So I'm very grateful for Lamu and many other counties which had issues, and now we are managing them together with their leaders. Honorable Speaker, the government will provide money during the financial year 2023-2024 to start the construction of the offices for the Deputy County Commissioner for Lamu West at Mpeketoni. Honorable Speaker, with regard to staffing of police stations, police posts, and patrol bases within Lamu, I have already asked the Inspector General of the National Police Service to gazette, because for police stations is the IGU gazettes, those facilities after he sends the team to inspect them, so that to make sure they have the basic amenities like the armory and other critical facilities like a cell for men, a cell for women, a cell for children, which now is standard in all our police facilities. As soon as the IG is satisfied with the structural integrity of that space, he will gazette and we will deploy. And we have enough officers in this country 106,000 police officers for a population of slightly above 50 million. We have enough officers to post to Lamu and to all the other parts of the country that are needy. Right Honorable Speaker, I've also been asked by the distinguished Senator for Samburu County, which is one of the counties that has really experienced very painful moments because of criminal activities and organized crime. I want to respond by saying that yes, there is the process of establishing an additional sub-county and other administrative units in that county is underway. I already engaged the leaders and we agreed on what they needed to do in consultation and of course with the deputy county commissioners and the county commissioner in Samburu, so that the public participation process is impeachable. Once we conclude and gazette, we are not taken to courts over headquarters, over this and that, and the other issues. In any case, the Constitution demands that public participation must be carried out by any public official or any institution that is making a decision. So we will conclude that process. I am hopeful, possibly before the end of the year, we will have another cohort, again, broadly for the country, not just for Samburu County, because our obligation as a nation is to carry everybody along. Finally, my senior, the Senator for Siaya County, I think Senator Oburu Odinga, has raised two issues. The first one, he has asked about Usigu County, which is supposed to create an additional sub-county within Bondo, the larger Bondo sub-county, and which, by the way, Bondo is one of the largest sub-counties we have in the country in terms of population, and very deserving case. I had scheduled to go and operationalize Usigu sub-county last month when I was doing countrywide tours of various counties for security duties. But I think the member of parliament was away and there was a logistical issue, and I said it's good for all the parties to consult and we will reschedule a date for the operationalization of Usigu anytime that all the parties are ready. You know, normally operationalization of a sub-county is a public event. We like involving all stakeholders, unlike our other security operational tours, which we take without telling anybody. And we've been bashed by very many of our friends who say, how can you come to here or there without telling me? And over time, I think they have agreed with us. Sometimes when it's an operational trip, we are not in a position, first of all, to tell anybody, leave alone the elected leader, even for our own safety. And number two, it is not possible, some of the things we do, to have the public with us. But whenever we have an event as security managers that is a community event like operationalizing a sub-county, we make sure we inform everyone and members of the public come so that we are all together. So the distinguished Senator for Siaya, we will do that for Usigu in the shortest time possible. We are ready. And the budget has already been aligned to reflect that. Finally, this DIRA issue, I think I have seen one of the reports from my daily security briefs. Every morning we have daily briefs and threat assessment. And I think that general area and also parts of Vihiga and the boundary between Kakamega and Siaya again, there's a lot of criminal groups who are perpetuating violent crime, stock theft, in a most peculiar manner, because there's still one cow, but so many, you know, if you add the cows stolen in that area, within a week, you'll find that actually it's like 150. But each cow was stolen separately. So, and we're asking ourselves, what is the difference between this and what is happening in North Rift? Because in the North Rift, there will be one raid of 100 cows. Here, it is many raids, but in installments, but the total is the same. So we are taking action, Senator Oburu, and the issue of youths who are organized to commit crime, either by themselves or by other people, is of concern to us. Because if we don't tame that tide, many countries who have gone that route have found it impossible to reverse it. And even among political leaders, please, those of us who are festering groups of people who are using violence to perpetuate whatever outcomes, you are endangering our national security. Stop it. It will be very brutal. And I want to say this, you've seen last week, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, you've seen last week what happened in Kisii. And this goes across the board. Politicians from the Kenya Kwanza group, politicians from Azimio group, and it's localized there. And each people, you know, with young people there, terrorizing others, disrupting meetings, groupings like those, over a long time, if they fester for a long time, because we have many of those in Busia, in many, many places I don't have time to enumerate. They mutate, then they assume a life of their own. They even overturn their sponsors and become their own institutional arrangements. And that's how countries like Haiti found itself at certain parts of that country under the control of criminals. So we will be very harsh. And here again, there will be nothing political about it. If you are a political leader and you're on the government side and you have a gang of criminals terrorizing your opponents, we will come for you as we come for those boys. If you are on the opposition also, and you have a group of youngsters whom you have given money and drugs and alcohol to terrorize your opponents, even within the opposition, we will also come for you, and you will not tell us, you will not invoke the usual sentiments that we are being fought because we are in the opposition. So I thought that is a good space as I answer my brother and elder, Senator Oburu, that we are worried about the increase of small pockets of organized groups of criminals inflicting violence on people, but also advancing other objectives, including political objectives. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Senators, I would want to propose that you keep your questions, keep your buttons the way it is. Let's take the remaining two questions from Senator of Turkana and Senator of Tana River. Once they are done with their question and their supplementary question, I will go back to the questions that you have, and I will allow supplementaries thereafter. Senator Turkana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to ask question number 039 to our hardworking CS. The question 1A, has the ministry undertaken an impact assessment of the curfew imposed in major towns and centers in Turkana County, particularly Lokicher, Nakabosan, Keukunyuk, Kalemorok, Kaputir, Kakongo, and Kainuk areas? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the extent to which the curfew has achieved its intended purpose? B, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the higher prevalence of crime during curfew hours compared to non-curfew hours, and clarify whether this is attributable to security personnel allowing unauthorized vehicles and individuals to move around during curfew hours. C, are there plans to lift the curfew in light of the negative impact it has on the livelihoods of the resident, and if so, could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the timelines for the same? D, Mr. Speaker, what alternative measures has the ministry taken to effectively tackle insecurity in the region? And could the Cabinet Secretary also indicate any initiative by the government to strengthen community policing, which is a more sustainable approach? Thank you.
Mr. CS.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir, in relation to the statements sought by the distinguished senator for Turkana County, I state as follows, that, Mr. Speaker, major town centers in Turkana County, especially Turkana South, that is Kakong, Kainuk, Kaputir, and Lokicha, are currently under the curfew. We are reviewing that whether there may be need to isolate specific town centers that may not be contributing to the security challenge we have in that area and remove them from the renewal of the curfew orders. And that assessment has been going on for the last 2 months. There are indications that some of the town centers will be removed from the curfew orders, the same way we did with some of the urban centers that had been included in the curfew orders within Samburu County. However, Honorable Speaker, the curfew orders in Turkana County and other disturbed or other counties where it has been determined that the state of insecurity categorizes them as dangerous and disturbed, those orders will subsist. And we have no timelines. We will not say when those orders will expire. Those orders will expire when we are convinced that the current threat has been extinguished. Just for the avoidance of doubt, I have said the government will only consider on a case-by-case basis particular towns and urban centers, especially around the highway, the Lodwar, the Kitale, Kapenguria, Kainuk, Lokichar, Lodwar Highway. A few of those urban centers may be exempted, but only within the urban centers so that we don't affect commercial activities, which should not be the case. However, the general area still remains volatile. We have made some advances in the past 1 year, especially with regard to highway robberies, but we are still experiencing challenges, and therefore the curfew orders will subsist. In particular, the area that is giving us a bit of challenge is the KWS area and the Turkana South Game Reserve. And some of the breaches of security that we continue to see sporadically are emanating from that space, and we are taking special security measures to secure the Turkana South Game Reserve and make it inaccessible to criminals. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, we do not agree that there is a surge of crime linked to the curfew orders. We have checked on all police stations or current books within Turkana East and Turkana South sub-counties, and the daily reports from national government administrative officers. And our conclusion is that there has been a drop on petty and major crimes in the towns under the curfew. Crime has not been eradicated, but there is an incident, a drop in incidents. Therefore, it is also the position of government that only authorized vehicles that are in the schedule to the curfew orders are allowed to operate beyond the curfew hours, because the curfew orders, there is an annexure of listed essential security providers who are exempted from the curfew. And if the distinguished senator for Turkana County has any information of any misconduct on any of our law enforcement officials who might be abusing the curfew orders to permit unauthorized movement of vehicle beyond the curfew hours, we will be happy to get that information even on a confidential basis. Right, Honorable Speaker, sir, apart from the ongoing operation, security operation, the government has taken additional measures to address insecurity issues within Turkana County. They include, but are not limited to, the following. First, we are encouraging communities to develop and foster a culture of peace. No amount of security hardware, no amount of hard enforcement can replace the sustainability that comes with community-generated peace-building activities. And therefore, we are encouraging that. We have already changed the security personnel in that general area. I think in the last 2 months, the last posting order, which I did for chairpersons of county security teams, which are normally county commissioners. You have seen the North Rift, we've done some redeployment. The same with county police commanders, the National Intelligence Service coordinators, as well as the DCI coordinators in those counties. We've done some personnel changes to encourage a mix of both the hard enforcement measures, but also peace-building measures, especially through Ngao officers. Number two, and by the way, these changes, we've already seen a bit of improvement after that last personnel deployment changes. Number two, Honorable Speaker, sensitizing the communities to embrace other forms of livelihoods, because a single livelihood approach to life in the form of livestock is what has taken as the route where this problem has persisted. Thirdly, we are discouraging herders from settlements within the Turkana South Game Reserve, because this is where bandits are hiding, pretending to be herders, pretending to be looking for pasture, and the attacks that we've had on the Kitale, Kapenguria, Lokichar, Lodwar Highway. The hideout for these criminals, the planning of the attacks, and the retreat after the attack has always been in the Turkana South Game Reserve, which we want to clean up through a special security operation and make it inaccessible so that we can have durable peace and security in that area, and especially along that beautiful road that connects our country with our neighboring South Sudan nation. Next, we have continuously increasing the recruitment, training, and deployment of national police reservists. Next, We are also increasing the strength of regular and special forces within the security and law enforcement officials. We also are engaging in stakeholder engagement, and increasingly now, as we continue towards stabilizing the insecurity incidents, we want to bring in other stakeholders to support what the security agencies are doing, including civil society. We want to bring in religious organizations, political leaders, and so forth and so on. And once more, I am very proud to the political leadership of Turkana County and the political leadership of West Pokot County. Again, about a year ago, we had a very turbulent patch in terms of our relationship as security managers and themselves as elected leaders, but it's now healing because the issues that were dividing us have been addressed, and there is a lot of support that I'm getting from political leaders from West Pokot and from political leaders in Turkana County. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, CS. Senator Turkana, do you have a supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank the CS for what he has submitted. It is true, the security officers in Kainuk, Turkana South and Turkana East are doing good work. But, Mr. Speaker, maybe I wanted to inform the CS that the officers at Turkana South who are securing the A1 road have a biggest challenge. When they want to face the bandits or the highway robbers, the highway robbers hide themselves in the bushes, which is the feeder roads. There are feeder roads from Kainuk to Loyapat. There are feeder roads from Wildlife to Kakongo. Those areas, even during the time of raids, Mr. Speaker, sir, the security personnel get it hard to be in those areas, to patrol or get those bandits. So, Mr. CS, I request, with humble request, so you collaborate with the CS for infrastructure so that those feeder roads will be maintained and made sure it is possible. Because even recently, there was a raid and the KDF used the drones. They saw the bandits, but there was no way they can access to the bandits and counter them. So the presence of access roads are very important, Buana CS. Finally, the question that I wanted to, a supplementary question that I wanted to ask you, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for extending, providing, bringing closer services closer to the farthest counties of this nation. For example, Marsabit. I was in Inderet, and I saw people who are almost 4,000 without IDs. And I questioned myself, are these Kenyans? They said that we are Kenyans. So, and then they also recognize the president and your office for adding them the additional sub-county. Secondly, you also consider Turkana County, especially areas that are bordering external Uganda, Southern Sudan, and Ethiopia. You added the new sub-units, sub-counties, that is Lokichogio, Lokiriama, Haro, and Suguta. So the only way that we have been waiting that you promised, and I know your promise will be implemented immediately. We are set with the infrastructure to accommodate the DCC. So the Suguta sub-county and the Aro sub-county, I would like to maybe to clear, when are you coming to operationalize those sub-counties? Thank you.
Senator Lomanen, you have given information to the CS and you've appreciated him. I did not hear a question in your long summary. It's okay. I think the only question the CS will answer is when would you operationalize the sub-counties?
Yes.
And let's keep it brief, Bwana CS, so that we can move to the next question.
Okay. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll be brief, but also the distinguished senator for Turkana has asked about security roads in the area between Kakong, KWS, and Kainuk. And I want to assure him, between the local member of parliament and because of CDF, the CS for transport and roads, and ourselves, it is on our priority list to have those security roads maintained as soon as the rains subside. Secondly and lastly is on the sub-counties. Out of the 4 sub-counties that had been gazetted but were not operational, I have already presided over the operationalization of Lokichogio. However, 3 more remain, and which are Aro, Mr. Speaker, there is a disagreement at the community level involving even the elected leaders. The members of parliament, the governor, the community is not giving us a concurrence on where the headquarters will be. And those are some of the things that delay. And because it's a facility to serve the public, we are not in a hurry either to take sides or take a decision contrary to where the majority of the people want it to be, as opposed to individual leaders. So we are waiting for the conclusion of public participation and engagement for Aro, and immediately that matter is resolved, we will operationalize it. As the distinguished senator for Turkana has said, the word of the minister is his bond. But also above the promise of the minister is also under presidential directive. So there is a double weight on me. First of all, my own weight, and then some other bigger weight, which is pushing me to make sure as soon as possible the people of Turkana and all the other counties that are similarly situated have operational units. Then finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have 2 other sub-counties in that county. One is Lokiriama. The problem why we have delayed a little bit with Lokiriama is the infrastructure, at least to house the DCC and a few heads of department. We are working on it. And finally, Suguta. Suguta is ready. Suguta is ready. As soon as the rains subside, I'd actually scheduled to do it, but the rains began. The rainy season commenced before I could actualize that. So as soon as the floods and the rains, the current rains subside, we'll operationalize Suguta. I submit.
Thank you, CS. Question number 43 by Senator of Tana River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 43. Are there plans to re-establish the Wema General Service Unit GSU camp in Tana River County, which was closed after it was marooned by floods during the heavy rains experienced across the country in December 2023? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the timelines for the same? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CS.
Mr. Speaker, this is where I'll take the shortest time possible because the answer, even the statement, is short. It is true what the distinguished senator for Tana River County has said, namely that we were compelled to relocate the Wema GSU camp during the El Nino rains at the end of last year because the camp was marooned and flooded. And after that, what we've done is to make sure that between the December floods and the current floods, we've been trying to see whether it is feasible to return that camp there, because as we had anticipated, Honorable Senator, through the Speaker, even if we had returned that camp in the same site after the El Nino floods, it would be now underwater still. So it is good we had the 2 seasons just to figure out whether what happened in December was temporary or is likely to be repeated every other rainy season. We are of the view now that the location where this GSU camp was, it cannot be the place where it will be situated. And therefore, to answer the question by the distinguished Senator Danson Mungatana, I want to commit that the government will reestablish the Wema GSU camp, but in an alternative site, which has already been identified. And that site, that place, the site, the new site, is Kulesa, is somewhere in Kulesa village, Maziwa sublocation, Salama location, Tana Delta subcounty. That area has been identified by our security committee in Tana River in liaison with the community there. And please, once again, because we don't want to have push and pull on security measures, the elected leaders there, to whom I am very grateful, like I am to all the other leaders, I have received as the security minister utmost cooperation from the leaders of Tana River County. I urge them and implore them, in case there are any issues on the site that we have identified, let us know in good time. But as soon as the current rains subside, which should be in another 1 month or so, we shall return the GSU camp and put it in a new location and also increase the strength in terms of the number of officers we'll deploy there.
Senator Turkana, do you have, Senator Tana River, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bwana Speaker, mimi ninamshukuru sana waziri wetu wa usalama kwa kazi anayofanya Kenya na pia haswa kwa kazi anayofanya Tana River. Bwana Speaker, makosa yaliyofanyika mara ya kwanza walipokuwa wanaweka ile kambi ya GSU, hawakuongea na wananchi pale. Walienda wakatafuta mahali watu wa security peke yao na wakaweka mahali. Lakini nashukuru kwa sababu sasa amesema ya kwamba wameongea na wananchi, na kweli Kulesa village iko juu, na wakiweka hapo hatutapata hasara ya kuzama tena kwa hiyo kambi ya GSU. Asante sana Bwana Waziri. Kitu ambacho umesahau ni kujibu sehemu ile yaliyouliza kwamba pengine ni lini ambayo unakisia tutaregesha ile kambi ya GSU, kwa sababu sehemu ile we waziri unajua haiko mbali sana na msitu wa Boni ambao uko na mushkil kila wakati. Kwa hivyo ungetupatia huo muda tungeshukuru. Swali langu la pili na la mwisho, Bwana Speaker, ni tena kuhusiana na usalama wa sehemu hiyo. Tunashukuru sana kwamba Bwana Speaker, waziri alitupatia sub-county mpya, na hiyo sub-county inaitwa sub-county ya Tarasa. Na Bwana Speaker, waziri aligazeti hiyo sub-county, lakini hakutupatia headquarters, hakugazeti headquarters. Na sisi tunasema namna hii, kweli kuna public participation inayofanyika, na pengine ulipata results ama ulipata majibu ya hiyo public participation. Lakini baadaye kulikuja petition ama maombi ya kugeuza hayo mazungumzo yaliyofanyika. Mimi nilikuwa nasema hivi, Bwana Spika, kwa waziri, ya kwamba shida kubwa ni kwamba sehemu ambayo ilikuwa imetajwa kuna wasiwasi ya kwamba ingeingiwa na maji wakati mvua inakuwa nyingi. Kwa hivyo nilikuwa nasema badala ya sisi kuingia hasara kama vile tuliingia hasara ya kambi ya GSU, badala ya serikali kuu kuingia hasara kama hiyo, ingekuwa bora, usifuate maneno yangu, usifuate maneno ya mheshimiwa mwingine ama viongozi wengine, lakini utume your own experts ama wanaitwaje, wataalam wako wenyewe, waende wakaangalie, je, ni sehemu gani ambayo ingefaa haiingii maji. Na wakati huu, Bwana Waziri, ndio wakati mzuri, kwa sababu wakati huu mtu hawezi kukudanganya ati nenda ukanunue hii shamba na hii shamba inaingia maji. Wakati huu mtu hawezi kukudanganya pale ni pazuri, alafu uende ukaweke sub county headquarters iingie maji, tupate hasara, badala kwenda mbele tuende nyuma. Kwa hivyo swali langu la pili na la mwisho nikiwa nakaa, Bwana Waziri, ni lini utatuma wataalam waende wakaangalie mahali pazuri, kisha utagazeti lini ripoti hiyo ya wataalam?